I want to make another object, and this time I want it to emit its own light. So I'm going to use this icosphere that I set inside this cube here. And I'm going to come over here to materials, and I'm going to say new. I'm going to call it cyan light. Cool. And now I don't have to worry about base color or any of this other stuff. I'm going to go straight on down to where it says emission. And this is the brightness of the emission, is this little guy right here. So if I turn that up, that turns the light on, if you will. And then if I drive it up to cyan, that's a bright cyan light. Now the strength isn't very much yet, so let's talk about this a little bit. Inside Material Preview, which is like a type of render engine, we don't really see how the lights in the environment and how the light of the object change things. So in order to mess with emission, I recommend that we go back over to rendered view, and we can kind of see how all sorts of things change once we're in rendered view. I'm looking at cycled, so you can actually see some of the red refracted light in the shadows of these other objects and bouncing off the surfaces of this. We see this is not bright enough to really compete with the sun, but we do see it illuminating its own shadow. In fact, the sun is kind of problematic, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the sun by deleting it, selecting it here and hitting X in the viewport. Cool. And I will turn on the point and turn on the other one. The area lights were up here as well. Turn those on as well. So all of these lights are bouncing around the scene, and this light is actually now a little problematic, so I'm just going to move it over here. So we just see this guy. All right. With this one, I'm not affecting the light the same way I would light in the virtual lights. I have to affect the strength of it right here. So emission strength, I'm going to take this and turn it to 10, do my brackets. So that's kind of cool. It's creating its own little kind of light space in here. The other thing is, let's look at what this looks like in Eevee. So I'll flip back up to render engine, switch it from cycles to Eevee, and now it goes back to that almost sort of like Material Preview, but I have some other options in the Eevee engine that I just don't have in the cycles engine, and one of them is called bloom. And so when I turn bloom on, we get this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of this haze, as though there's like vapor in the area and it's catching some of that water vapor. But I can turn this up, I can affect it pretty heavily. I can play with each one of these things, how wide the radius is of these. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. The bloom color itself is mixing with white, but you can have it mix with other colors as well. It's kind of neat. And then the intensity, turn that up and down. So that's bloom. You have that ability. Ambient occlusion is important for lights as well. This basically fakes shadows of objects. I've just turned that on. It's hard to see with this, but I can turn this on and off, and it's doing a pretty good job. There's not a ton of shadows. Let's just quickly take a peek at what this plastic orb looks like inside Eevee, and we can start to play with what metallics look like in Eevee, right? And I think I might have crashed it. Nope, I didn't. Whew, got pretty close. And then roughness in Eevee. Now, because we're not doing material preview from the scene, we're getting just the things that illuminate the scene. There's that orb for that green light, and then the two area lights. And so roughness is kind of a weird thing inside Eevee. Cool.